Tom Baker returns for a 13th season of Big Finish audio productions with Storm of the Sea Devils. Now, when it comes to the Big Finish Fourth Doctor stuff, I've noticed a bit of a pattern developing where they release like 2 box sets every year with the Fourth Doctor, and the first half of them has been a little bit iffy, but the second half has been absolutely like bang on, 10 out of 10, awesome Fourth Doctor stuff. Like Solo from Series 11, not a big fan, but the 9, that's like top tier. That's amazing. New Frontiers, it's alright, it's alright. Angels and Demons, that's really, really good. So, when it came to Storm of the Sea Devils, I was going into it thinking, is this going to be another throwaway box set with a 13th series of the Fourth Doctor? But what's throwing the wrinkle here is that we have Eleanor Crooks and Christopher Naylor playing Naomi Cross and Harry Sullivan respectively. Now, these two have an interesting Big Finish history that I can't even begin to wrap my head around, because they've been doing unit box sets for a while. They've been a bit of like a mainstay of the unit Nemesis cast and unit other adjacent box sets, but they recently had some adventures with the Seventh Doctor where they got picked up from a different area in time and space, and then they had some box set adventures with the Seventh Doctor, but they already knew about the Doctor, so this is like picking up where they left off, but we'd never actually got their proper canonical meeting with the Doctor proper. But in Storm of the Sea Devils, which is the name of the first story, and we also have Worlds Beyond as the second story in this box set, in this box set we actually get the proper meeting of Naomi and the Doctor meeting the Fourth Doctor along with Harry Sullivan as they have an escapade with the Sea Devils. So it's the Storm of the Sea Devils, which is written by David K. Barnes, starts with Harry Sullivan going on holiday to Calcutta. However, as soon as he departs from the plane, he's intercepted by Naomi, a staff member at UNIT who is wanting to do a lot more field work, and they are told that they have a mission with this high-flying philanthropist called Ramesh Kamel, played by Silas Carson, who has opened up a hotel in this derelict swamp-like area where the prestigious, the super wealthy, the super influential can be able to do whatever they want out of sight because they are so far removed from society, building this hotel in an environment where hotels ideally should not be built, in a swamp with crocodiles and alligators and also some other aquatic life living beneath the bog. However, what's happened is that the hotel has called for a doctor because somebody on the site has been injured, so UNIT sends Harry and Naomi to be the Doctor to help them with their situation. However, when they arrive, they realise that another Doctor has indeed heeded the call. It's Tom Baker as the Fourth Doctor, and it turns out that the injured person at the hotel was bitten by a sea devil, and they have one in captivity because the plan is to sell these sea devils to the highest bidder. He wants the hotel to control the swamp, to control the bog, in order to sell this species for vast amounts of money later on down the line, once the hotel is open. And of course, the Doctor, Harry and Naomi, they can't have any of that. Let's play a clip from Storm of the Sea Devils.
I have a list of over 1,000 institutes worldwide that would pay a great sum of money to study these miraculous forms of reptilian life. But as soon as Shorak is on the international market, questions will be asked. Chief amongst them, where can I find more?
Ah, yes. And if you knew the answer to that, Kamal, why, you could sell the exploitation rights in the colony to the highest bidder.
Especially if I own the land in which the colony is found.
You mean you intend to sell an entire civilization?
You know, as a man who just wanted to build a hotel, you're in way over your head here, Kamal.
I saw a new opportunity. The discovery of the Sea Devils will make me richer than I could ever have dreamed of.
And then will you be happy?
What was that?
Will that make you happy, Ramesh?
Sit down. You're embarrassing our guests.
She's embarrassing you, actually.
I've stood by you for nearly 20 years of my life. But this plan of yours, it is wrong. You must see that.
Amita.
You're meddling in things you don't understand.
Oh, she's right, Kamal. You're stirring up a hornet's nest, except Shorak's people are infinitely more dangerous.
For context, Shorak, voiced by Tracy Wiles, is the Sea Devil that they have in captivity, and they're using as leverage in order to get the other Sea Devils there, to capture them, to sell them, etc. Capitalism, bad, obviously. Slavery, bad. It's a story that doesn't really have much in the way of moral grey areas, which is an interesting approach to take for a Sea Devil story, where it's like, okay, the Sea Devils also have a claim to the planet, but the people, the humans, also have a claim to the planet. But in this case, it's just a bunch of really, really terrible people who are trying to sell the Sea Devils and harm them and profit off of them. So let's team up with the Sea Devils in order to take this hotel institution down. It's a bit of a refreshing bit of Sea Devil moralizing and dynamic here that we don't normally see, where it's a bit more simplified than you might expect from your traditional Sea Devil stories. Storm of the Sea Devils is a pretty simple plot with pretty simple archetypal characters. Like you heard him there in the clip played by Silas Carson. The main bad guy, Ramesh Kamal, is basically just a mustache-twirling evil guy who just wants to sell the Sea Devils and build his hotel and make an awful lot of money. But then you also have a really interesting setting in like rural India, where you've got this like swampy environment, which is a really great setting. It's isolated, it's far removed from civilization. You also have a really good pairing with Naomi and Harry with the Fourth Doctor, where the Fourth Doctor has been traveling on his own for a while and then bumps into Harry, and Harry is just so taken aback by, you know, I just wanted a bit of a quiet life at UNIT, as far as that can take you. But then you bump into the Fourth Doctor of all doctors again, and I know now I can run down corridors again and face alien threats and menaces, and it's basically back to normal, and it's where he wants to be deep down. And Naomi is meeting the Doctor for the very first time and has no idea what his deal is, does not know yet that he's a Time Lord, does not know yet that he's a traveller throughout time and space, does not know that he's got two hearts, and doesn't really know how to act around him. And the Fourth Doctor just takes one look at her and is like, oh, she's a good one. Let's see what we can do to bring out the best of her. And it's a really great dynamic. There's a great part in the second half of the story where the Fourth Doctor essentially manipulates her and pushes her. And it's like, okay, I can understand why after this story they've teamed her up with the Seventh Doctor, the master manipulator of his companions. I don't know if that was planned. I don't know how far in advance this whole non-linear release schedule of the Doctor, Naomi and Harry, I don't know how far back that was planned, but in retrospect that was actually a pretty inspired choice. The setting's really good. I think that the cast is strong overall. I think Tracy Wiles and Nicholas Briggs are really good as the Sea Devils, as you've come to expect, as particularly from Nicholas Briggs. Really, really good performances across the board here. Great setting. It's a solid Sea Devil four-parter. It doesn't so much get by on its characters and its story as it does its like the interpersonal dynamics between the Fourth Doctor, Harry and Naomi, and also just a really, really great setting. You know, the hotel, which is owned by the villain, so he can he knows his way around the building. He's able to lock all of the doors. He's got all of the secrets that he wants to hide, and the Fourth Doctor is very, very, very good at stumbling across things that he shouldn't know about. The Sea Devils themselves are interestingly portrayed here, but like I said, it's a pretty simplistic moral dynamic here. You know, it's fine. It's solid. It's having the Sea Devils in like the swamps in the swamps and the waters of India. It's a really cool setting. It's an unorthodox base under siege story where the Doctor, Harry and Naomi want the Sea Devils to come in to rescue their brethren. It's a nice little dynamic there that I really appreciate, and it's a good way to mix up the formula, because Storm of the Sea Devils could have just been another, oh, we need to break a peace here between the Sea Devils and the humans, and while of course they do pay lip service to that, it's not the main priority narratively for this story, and I think it's all the better for it in terms of making this a more unique Sea Devil story from Big Finish Productions. Also, I'm not entirely sure if there are other Fourth Doctor Big Finish stories with the Sea Devils, but yeah, it's cool to hear Tom Baker in this setting, and he's really great. He's really, really good over the course of this whole box set. Now, the second story is Worlds Beyond by Robert Kahn and Tom Salinsky. So the Doctor, Harry and Naomi are going on their very first trip as a TARDIS trio throughout time and space, and they decide to go on holiday somewhere. They go to a luxury resort world where custom-made holidays are provided for every single visitor. Their minds are scanned, and their ideal getaway, their ideal perfect time away is conjured up in an alternative reality for them to inhabit and have fun in. Naomi gets an activity break at the sea. Harry explores a crumbling ruin with another person called Donald, who's there to help him. And the Doctor is on an idyllic beach playing chess with Alan Turing. However, the Doctor is not a big fan of having his mind invaded. There's like psychic pollen, you know, if you remember Amy's Choice, there's this species called the Cicerone who are trying to basically leech off of the TARDIS team's mind with their idyllic holidays, and the Fourth Doctor sees right through it. However, in order to keep him placated, they decide to up the stakes with his Alan Turing chess companion partner, Alan Turing here played by Anthony Howell, and basically he winds up becoming way too smart for his own good. Let's play a clip from Worlds Beyond.
I think I'm getting the hang of this now, Professor.
That triple sacrifice. I wasn't able to predict how that would develop. How many moves deep were you thinking?
Oh, I'm largely an instinctual player, really. Although winning the last 2 games has taken an intensity of concentration that I haven't experienced for 200 years. You are a formidable opponent, or you've become one at any rate.
What do you mean?
You seem to be improving your game as well. An upgrade, Turing 2.0. And other aspects of yourself beside that stutter of yours seems to have gone, for example.
Yes. I decided that I didn't like it.
Oh, I found it rather endearing.
So, as you play with greater concentration, your opponent's abilities increase in lockstep. But why?
Oh, I think if I won every match, I might get rather bored rather quickly. But what if my opponent happened to be the famous Alan Turing? And no matter how hard I try, I can't quite beat him. That would be very hard to walk away from. Lockstep or quickstep.
You're right, Doctor. I didn't want to say anything, but I feel different somehow. Stronger, faster, more real.
Did you not feel real before?
Not like this. When you sat down, I was only half here. A puppet animated by someone else. But now, I can feel worlds in my head.
Does that make me Frankenstein and you my monster? Or maybe I'm Geppetto and you're my little wooden boy, Pinocchio. Oh, Professor. In their efforts to make a worthy opponent, I think these infernal mind meddlers may have overshot.
Doctor, what's happening? Perhaps I'm not an artificial construction anymore. I really am Alan Turing. I think, therefore, I am.
I think you've just passed the test.
So this box set was recorded about 5 years ago, so Tom Baker would have been in his mid to late 80s when he recorded it, and he's absolutely not lost a step as the Fourth Doctor, even after all of these years. That I really wanted to play that clip because it just shows how good Tom Baker is, even after all of these years. He's just such, like, he just is the Doctor, like, unequivocally. He just has never not been the Doctor throughout his entire life. It's terrific stuff. So Worlds Beyond is a pretty breezy 2-parter. Storm of the Sea Devils was a 4-parter. I think that the actual premise and the character work in Worlds Beyond is so good that it probably should have been a 3-parter, and Storm of the Sea Devils should have lost a part. It should have been a 3-parter instead of a 4-parter in order to, like, get the most of the premise for, like, if this had to be a 6-episode box set, because Worlds Beyond does some really, really strong character work in regards to Naomi and also in regards to Harry Sullivan, because of course the Fourth Doctor gets some of, like, the fun, like, attention grabbing stuff, like with it, you know, he's playing chess with Alan Turing. I can remember the news story when it dropped several years ago when they were recording this story and they announced it, and they did all of these like publicity shots with Tom Baker and Anthony Howell, who is playing Alan Turing here. I remember this publicity image when it first dropped back in like 2019 or 2020, and I think that the character work here in Worlds Beyond is so good because the premise is great, where you get these characters, this TARDIS team, who are separated from each other, and they are essentially living an ideal version of their lives, but in very dramatic and high-stake ways. Like, Harry Sullivan is excavating an archaeological find with somebody called Donald, played by David Shaw Parker. However, the cave and the archaeological ruins cave in, and Donald gets injured, and Harry has to be a doctor to him and look after him and get him through this this tunnel collapse and this life or death situation unscathed. And the fact that that is like Harry's ideal scenario, that he wants to be wanted again, he wants to be needed and be a doctor, and he wants to be helpful again, like in his like medical days, that's like really great character revealing stuff. And Christopher Naylor is so good in this story in particular. Naomi ends up getting kidnapped and held hostage by one of the aliens, and she really wants to prove that she's able to escape the scenario on her own. But it's a really good box set. It's a really good story, this one in particular, for the companions. Like, I think that while Storm of the Sea Devils as a box set overall, these two stories, the actual story and the structure itself and the plot is fine, but the character work between the Fourth Doctor, Naomi, and Harry is like top tier stuff. Like the terrific dynamics when they're together, and also in Worlds Beyond when they're apart, how they act when they're not around each other, when the Doctor's not there. Can Harry step up and ultimately be a doctor to this person who needs his help? There's the Cicerone, who are the like alien holiday makers, and it's a really good bit of casting to have these four members of this species, and those voice actors also play the human companions and the human supporting cast in these idyllic holidays, including Anthony Howell as Alan Turing and also David Shaw Parker as Donald. They also play this alien species. And there's also just some really great character moments where the opening of Worlds Beyond is Naomi seeing the TARDIS for the first time. But when she walks in, she's seeing just the Fourth Doctor console room, which obviously is bigger than the police box exterior would indicate it would be, but it's still, in the grand scheme of things, is not that big of a room. So she walks in and she's a little bit unimpressed, and then the Fourth Doctor actually just rolls with it. It's like, oh yeah, maybe this room's not too big, but there is the library, there's 4 libraries, in fact, there is the swimming pool. He just kind of rolls with it, and it's really fun and charming to see the Fourth Doctor not get offended at Naomi, like, not being that impressed with the dimensions of his ship, but sort of like, okay, the console room's pretty small, but if you go down those corridors, there's a lot more to the ship. Like, it's really, really cool. And having Harry as well, like, because Harry kind of doesn't really want, he says he doesn't want to be there, but I think he really, really does. But he's using the pretense of having to look after Naomi as like the reason why he's sticking around. It's, like I said, some wonderful character work with the Fourth Doctor and his 2 brand new companions. Well, I say brand new, like he's readopted Harry Sullivan the imbecile, but it's Naomi who he's really, really interested in. So the box set does end on a cliffhanger. So I do think that we are going to be getting some more adventures with the Fourth Doctor and Naomi and Harry Sullivan. Metamorphosis is coming out in June this year. And yeah, it does have Christopher Naylor and Eleanor Crooks attached, as well as Annette Badland as the Toy Maker. So this is coming out in June. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the further adventures of 4 Harry and Naomi. This is a really good pairing. And there's also a sequence of stories that could make the Seventh Doctor range, Far From Home and Sullivan and Cross AWOL, it could actually improve these stories in retrospect. Like I said, the continuity between Harry and Naomi is already pretty confusing, because when he's picked up by the Seventh Doctor here, he's apparently a man out of time, and I have no idea what that context is. I'm assuming there's some like unit stuff from the like Gemma Redgrave fronted box sets with Unit. So yeah, maybe there's all that history there, but you can still ignore all of that and still appreciate this as Fourth Doctor travelling solo after either dropping off Leela but before the Key to Time, or after dropping off Sarah Jane and doing the Deadly Assassin but before meeting Leela in the Face of Evil. He's travelling on his own and picks up Harry and a brand new companion who he's never met before, who also works at Unit. So this is a good standalone box set. It's not great, but it is still a significant step up from the part 1s of the series, like Solo or like New Frontiers, that the Fourth Doctor seasons have opened with over the past couple of years. If the trend continues that the second half of the Fourth Doctor series are like top tier great Doctor Who, like like Angels and Demons and The Nine were, then we've got some releases to be very excited for over the rest of this year. We've got Dominant Species coming out in September and Metamorphosis in June. So yeah, bring on more of the Fourth Doctor with Harry and Naomi. I'm looking forward to them. Storm of the Sea Devils, solid start.